Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome back to another episode of Coffee with Khalipa, short format podcast. So we dive into something I'm thinking about this upcoming week. And of course, we have our coffee in hand today. I got a medium roast. I normally rock the light roast, but today, switching it up. So topic conversation. This is like I don't know if this is a public service announcement, but it just was on my mind after a meeting I had at Disneyland. And I wanted to bring this up because I thought it was relevant. So I'm at Disneyland. My family and I, we went there along with another family, and there happened to be someone there that we were with who was in a role of kind of like customer service. And when I was talking to her, she said that she pivoted to this role of she was giving tours. That's what she was currently doing. But prior to that, she was a customer service supervisor for Disneyland. And I asked her, I said, "Oh, why did you pivot to a tour guide?" And she said it's been, huge for her mindset, and her, she feels so much more happy in this role than she did before. And I asked her why. And this had never dawned on me. So I wanted to share with all of you guys because I think we could look at it through two different lenses. And I want to kind of bring it back to business, but also just life in general. She said that when she was a supervisor for customer service, the biggest problem was by the time people got to her, they had already gone through layers of her staff. So by the time they got to her with her complaint, some of them, their complaint, some of them legitimate, some of them, maybe not as legitimate, who knows? They were so frustrated and angry that all day she dealt with people that were just screaming at her. And by the time she hopefully resolved their problem, there was never a thank you or this is good customer service. It would just be like, okay, fine. And then would hang up. Most people would just act that way. And I put myself in that position. By the time you get to a supervisor on the phone, you've been on the phone for maybe an hour or two. You finally get to a supervisor, maybe you get your issue resolved. By the time you get your issue resolved, you're so frustrated. You're just like, okay, thank you, bye. But you're never like, hey, you've really made my day. Thank you so much. You're never extremely appreciative because you're so frustrated at that point. And I could only imagine when you're in a customer service role as a supervisor, you don't get any of the wins. You really just get a lot of people frustrated. And then even if you solve their problem, it's not like they're going to make you feel like you're winning. They're just going to be like, okay, fine. And they leave. Whereas as a tour guide, she's able to have, happy people all day. She's able to watch them thrive. And that's why it makes her so happy. So it brought up this really interesting point to me. Number one is, I need to have more kind of grace when you're finally on the phone with the supervisor to let them know, assuming they solve your problem, how appreciative you are for that. Because I imagine they deal with a lot of crap and they never get told thank you. So that's one thing I thought we should all be aware of after this conversation. The other thing was just putting myself in the position of any manager at your gym, at a business, for anybody listening who is a leader in your organization, it takes a while for things to get to your point. There's probably layers below you, and those layers below you, but above maybe a traditional, staff member, maybe a manager of a gym, they deal with a lot of difficult conversations often. And I think that we need to have that perspective as a leader or as the owner of the company to let that person know that they are doing a good job, that they're appreciated, because they're probably dealing with a lot more crap than we realize because we might not see it as the owner. They might be the gatekeeper and dealing with a bunch of it, but it has already been escalated from their team. And so it was just a really good reminder for me of two things. One, when you get to the supervisor, you should be treating anybody with a lot of respect. But when you get to the supervisor and they solve your problem, let them know how appreciative you are. And the other was for our own team members, letting them know how much we appreciate their efforts, knowing that they do deal with a lot of, members that are at times upset, and they might get the, negative side more often than they get the positive side when we, make mistakes or whatnot. And we need to let them know that we care and that we're here to support them if we can anyway. So that's the topic of conversation. It was inspired by our Disneyland tour guide, but it really just struck home because I had never looked at it through that lens. That as a supervisor, you think like, oh, your team takes care of things. But at the end of the day, you're only getting the really pissed off people for the most part. And, I think it has direct reflection towards your business. So I hope you and your family's doing well. Go back, listen to other Coffee Khalipas. Sometimes they're business, family, fitness. This one, I don't really know. I think it was more business focused. Next week, got a really good one coming up. Go check them all out. Share them with a friend if these add value or open your mind in any sort of way. And keep drinking your coffee and getting after it. Let's go.